Being black in America should not be a death sentence. For 5 minutes, we watched as a white officer pressed his knee into the neck of a black man. For 5 minutes. When you hear someone calling for help, you are supposed to help. This officer failed in the most basic human sense.
That was Mayor Jacob Frey of Minneapolis speaking about the brutal death of George Floyd, a black man who died in police custody on Monday night. 4 police officers have now been fired, and an FBI and state investigations are underway. Video of Floyd's detainment shows Floyd being pinned to the ground by a white officer, kneeling on his neck for about 8 minutes. In the video, Floyd could be heard begging for help, saying, "I cannot breathe." Here's the video, a warning. It's extremely disturbing to watch.
I can't breathe. Please, the knee in my neck. I can't breathe shit.
Bro, get up, get in the car, man.
I will.
Get up, get in the car.
I can't move.
A bystander can be heard saying his nose is bleeding. After several minutes, Floyd stopped moving. He was later pronounced dead at a local hospital. Police initially said they had arrived at the scene for a reported forgery in progress and that Floyd had physically resisted officers. Less than 24 hours after the incident, the Minneapolis mayor tweeted that the firing of the officers was, quote, "the right call." The lawyer representing the Floyd family said he and his team will seek justice for Floyd's death. The death of Floyd sparked protest across Minneapolis, at times violent yesterday. Demonstrators were met with officers in riot gear, and tear gas was used to disperse the crowds. Protesters are demanding that the officers be arrested, and the case is drawing comparisons to the 2014 death of Eric Gardner. Joining us now, President and CEO of the National Urban League, Marc Morial. Marc Morial, looking at this video and looking at this story brings back memories of that other case, which was so horrific. Is there anything we know as we look into this as to the events that led up? How can this behavior be explained?
Well, one thing the videotape shows me is not only did the officer have his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck, he taunted Mr. Floyd and said, "Get up." It's an outrageous act of police violence and misconduct. And while the firing is an important step, these officers must be arrested immediately, fully prosecuted, and brought to justice. And in the Eric Garner case, there was no justice. The justice system failed Eric Garner. The officers were never prosecuted. There was 5 years of delay. We cannot and we will not allow that to repeat itself in this instance. This is shocking. Yesterday, as I watched the video, my heart was in my mouth. And what made it so egregious is that you had citizens taping the incident and exhorting the officer that Mr. Floyd was in distress. And yet you had another officer, in effect, protecting an act of violence. And this is an indication of why the police culture in many, many law enforcement agencies is absolutely broken. It's infected with this idea that you've got to protect each other at all costs. I know this well from my work cleaning up the New Orleans Police Department over 20 years ago. And you've got to strike right at the culture. And officers must pay consequences in the criminal system when they violate the rights so egregiously. A black man is dead, and he's lost his life because of a forgery. My God. Is this 21st century America? Those officers must be brought to justice. And I think people of goodwill all across the nation should express outrage on social media. Leaders should put out statements. We're watching to see what elected leaders do. This is not just a Minneapolis issue, not just a Minnesota issue. This is now an issue of national importance because it strikes right at the heart of what we have to do in this country if trust between communities and law enforcement will be restored. These types of things have to stop.
Yeah. Claire McCaskill, jump in.
Mark, what's interesting to me is the number of police officers that stood around and watched.
Yeah.
5 minutes is a long time to not get out handcuffs. That is a really long time. And most police officers know. I mean, most police officers are good people. There are people that clearly have issues and power issues and act inappropriately, and time will tell whether or not a jury figures out that this was criminal. But what you talked about is police culture, and sometimes that also invades prosecutors' offices. Has there been any comment from the local DA yet, from the elected prosecutor who will have jurisdiction here? It won't be a federal jurisdiction case. It's not the attorney general's job. It's a local district attorney. Have they yet said they're taking this to a grand jury, or have they indicated whether or not they're going to be filing criminal charges?
I have not heard, and of course I'm not watching the Minneapolis media, but that prosecutor, who I believe is the Hennepin County prosecutor,
right.
should immediately. Amy Klobuchar's
that was Amy Klobuchar's old job.
That prosecutor should step in immediately, order these officers arrested, and dispense, if possible, under Minnesota law, with the necessity of a grand jury and file a bill of information against these officers, charging them with murder. And look, the culpability of those who watched, you see, this is the problem. The idea that I'm not going to snitch, I'm not going to rat, I'm going to protect wrongdoing. That is the essence of an infected, corrupt culture, that people are not only corrupt, but that, quote unquote, what we may say good officers will basically seal their lips and not say anything. And so this incident, combined with the Aubrey incident, combined with the incident that took place in Central Park, is just an indication that the issue of race is so central to American life. And I think what we have to do is people have to express their outrage. People have to express their outrage in forceful terms on a consistent basis. And with policing, I say to every mayor, every police chief, every single councilman in every community across the nation, you could be next. Pay attention, and your job is to, yes, support law enforcement, but hold them accountable.
Mark, it's Willie Geist. It's great to see you again this morning. I just want to point out that Mr. Floyd's sister, Bridget, was on the Today Show just moments ago, calling for murder charges to be brought against those police officers. As you mentioned, you were mayor for 8 years of a major American city in New Orleans. So if you are the mayor of Minneapolis this morning, what's the first thing you are doing? Because there will be more protests today, as there rightly should be, about what happened. We saw tear gas in the streets against some protesters last night in Minneapolis. How do you handle this situation, and how do you make your police department better?
One thing, you want to make sure that those who protest have the opportunity and the space to do it in a peaceful way. I think that's very important, and that your officers are not going to overreact to the protests and use violence unnecessarily against protesters, which can simply escalate the situation even further. Secondly, the mayor's got a responsibility now to put pressure on the district attorney and on the justice system and on the FBI and the Justice Department to swiftly and expeditiously arrest and bring charges against these two officers. I think the mayor has to lead on this and can, in fact, lead on this. Look, Willie, there are 2 New Orleans police officers from my era who are on death row. I had a no-nonsense and a no-tolerance policy against police corruption, against police brutality, against police misconduct. And I think the tone has to be set that standards, high standards, are what we're going to have when it comes to law enforcement. So the mayor's got to continue to not only express outrage, but put the pressure on the justice system. The justice system is now, if you will, I hate to put it this way, but I will. The justice system's on trial. Is the justice system there in Minnesota capable of bringing justice to this situation? Capable of bringing justice for the family of Mr. Floyd?
Mark Morial, thank you so much. I hope that question gets the right answer. We want to mention Mark's new book entitled The Gumbo Coalition, 10 Leadership Lessons That Help You Inspire, Unite, and Achieve. And still ahead, one of our next guests says reopening the country shouldn't mean mass get-togethers like this one that we saw in Missouri over the weekend. We'll talk about ways to substantially reduce risk as more and more states loosen restrictions. Morning Joe will be right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.